In an ongoing effort to best serve Calgarians, the Calgary Police Service, Calgary Fire Department, Emergency Medical Services, and Calgary 911 have partnered together to train for Rescue Task Force. As first responders, our number one priority is public safety. We have implemented this training to be more prepared for complex situations in our city, such as major planned events, environmental emergencies, and potential acts of mass violence. Currently, first responders collaborate every day in emergency situations, and RTF training simply formalizes this process. RTF is focused on the rescue and care of casualties from active emergency situations. It also focuses on integrating emergency responses to ensure first responders' safety when attempting to attend to casualties in active emergencies. The process of executing RTF utilizes tactics from each agency to approach complex situations in an integrated way. All agencies maintain their own authority and work together to address the incident. This approach of unified command also helps attempting to attend or helps deal with communication challenges in dynamic situations. The training took place at the building which previously housed the Greyhound Station, and we were able to work with the City of Calgary Real Estate Board and Development Services to utilize this owned property. We appreciate the partnership with the city to further our training and best serve Calgarians. Thank you. We will now take questions.
What was the impetus for this training?
I think if you look across, across North America, the challenges we're facing with what has occurred, that police services and emergency services would be remiss not to develop some type of training. It helps us with everyday events to co-locate, and then it clarifies roles and responsibilities for frontline members, but also senior management members in command positions that aren't out at the actual scenes.
Have you had to engage this training in any events since you guys have been trained? Like, I mean, to use it, has there been an event?
Yeah, a good example would be, the fires, the floods. Daily or weekly, there's different occurrences, not that full scale out, but there is this opportunity to have integrated members with us, facilitating and working together. Again, it's different from the front line to senior management, where we're co-located, and how it looks on the front line when we work together.
And when you say co-located, that just means like you're physically there together, or what?
Correct, on both levels, the front line and as senior management, because again, the frontline members are working together on the scenes, but as senior management, we're getting co-located, again, to have those questions and be in a room together to be able to answer those quick and expedite time.
So I guess what has been advantageous to this training? Like, maybe can you kind of describe or characterize what it was like before the training and now after the training? What, is it just more cohesive, more?
I think initially the advantages are again, we face a lot of communication challenges. There's delays on information being relayed from one service to the other. The understanding of the roles and responsibilities of people in particular situations, whether you're on the front line or in the command position, that's clarified a lot of that. And then again, there's a lot more cohesiveness when you're out there practicing this together prior to the day of the event.
What did you learn at the Greyhound Center? So when all you were together at the Greyhound Center, what was one of the outstanding things you learned, and maybe some of the things that really stood out that you hadn't fully understood as you're undergoing the training at the Greyhound Center?
I think the ability to work together, the cohesiveness of all agencies to come together, to be willing to learn and adapt or in those environments. The challenges are different from everybody. And then again, how we overcome those by practicing. Again, initially the communication challenge, the different ways that we use different codes on our radios, how those are understood, and then how each one is communicating that to their people, because they're not all communicating on the same radio channel. And how you work together in those different groups and how you prioritize, and the understanding of those different roles and responsibilities is a big learning part. And it's something that's at a higher level than what it was in the past. And then again, the commitment and buy-in from not only from the front line, but from senior management to train and be able to be prepared for this, to assist citizens if this is required.
Which raises my second question. You formalized this, so I'm sure through the years you've all had relationships and you've all discussed them. Why was it important that you formalize it? Is that more a training thing, or going forward being able to plan, schedule?
Hunter, scheduling is a huge challenge to initially to get the support and commitment to be able to train with the challenges we're facing today in all our different areas, to be able to commit certain training blocks, to have that committed to. The challenge of having members there opposed to the call loads has been a challenge for us as well. Site location, to be able to get that and commit that time, has been another challenge. That again, things came into, we're very fortunate that we have supporting people, not only these people here, but people within the city that are able to provide us that site to be able to train like that.
Did you guys engage outside agencies for, support in training? Because I think it was described there was a situation maybe with an active shooter. It's not like this kind of thing happens often within our city, but maybe in the States it's more common. Were you able to kind of garner some resources from elsewhere?
We haven't garnered resources there, but we've done benchmarking and comparisons. We've had people come up from the United States that have had very big incidents, like the Pulse nightclub, the theater shooting. We had them come up, and the overarching learning objectives that are coming from that, our message to us, is that you have to practice this. You have to be in a room together. You have to have commitment, and you have to go out and build these programs and be prepared for it prior to the day of. And that was a common message that was relayed back to us from them coming here, is that be prepared in advance and and practice it. And that's what we've done here in the last several months, is be able to build a program, a steering committee that's able to put it together, get support from management, and actually have it rolled out, and have we've talked consistently about 60 to 70% of memberships being trained.
Do these other fine colleagues that you're here with, do they want to add?
I'll add something, if it's okay. The big thing from an EMS perspective is, how does this affect the patient, right? And that's what I want to talk about today. For us, it's about gaining rapid access to the patient in a safe manner. Quite often, we may go into a situation where we don't have the support of police or fire immediately. This provides that scenario where we have that. Then it's about assessing the patient and treating what we call the life-threatening emergencies. That's primarily hemorrhage and/or an airway problem. Rapidly extricating them out safely, and then transporting to the hospital for definitive care. That's where the patient benefits. I can talk about all the agencies that benefit, but the patient, that individual who's in that situation, that's where they're benefiting. So that's very important to us in EMS, and it's important to all my colleagues around here. They've supported this. We are no longer with the city. We're a provincial agency, and we find it very essential to work with our colleagues on a regular basis, where we can enhance those partnerships, because we don't have the day-to-day interactions at the leadership level, which currently we've had in the past. So we're very pleased with it. We're excited about it, and I can tell you it's just the beginning for us.
Any special lessons that came out of that Greyhound scenario for you guys?
Yeah, lots actually. I think the biggest one is the ability for us to have that interoperability, to have that face-to-face leadership conversation, look the individual, those leaders in the eye and say, this is what I'm thinking about doing, this is what my team's thinking about doing, and that immediate communication aspect is solved. Previous exercises that we've tried, we are in separate areas. Now we're together, and that's a big step forward. So that's from a leadership perspective. From a front line, our front lines do a good job out there every day, but it enhances that. They feel more secure working with each other on a regular basis. So that's what we learned from a leadership and from a frontline perspective. You're welcome.
I'm just curious, if there's more interoperability between first responders and frontline,
Yep.
is there an infrastructure for provincial and federal agencies to be part of the emergency management process as well?
Well, that's a great question. I can't answer from a federal perspective, but I can answer from a provincial perspective to a municipal. And I can tell you our emphasis is in strengthening those partnerships, because we know if something major happens, or even something day-to-day operations, we're going to need those relationships, and we're going to have to rely on partnerships to be successful. And for us, at the end of the day, from an EMS perspective, that's making sure our members go home safe and making sure that the patients are taken care of appropriately.
Okay. And I guess, would you be pushing for it? Just, I'm thinking about out east where they're having multiple, climate-related or weather-related events
Right.
year to year now. So are you pushing for that infrastructure to be there? 'Cause from where I stand right now, there doesn't seem to be a lot province and the feds.
Yeah, and again, I can't speak to that, what the province is doing on that perspective. I can only speak from a EMS perspective. So sorry, I'm not much help on that one.
Like from a tangible perspective, so like, just so I'm getting a better sense of, like, are you guys actually doing this collaboration while an event is happening, like a major city event, like say, I don't know.
So the practice today, you mean? Like what we've done is doing it so that it's not coming up and, hi, my name's Randy, it's the first time I'm meeting you. We have those relationships built ahead of time. And I think that's critical. So when we get together, whether it's a major flood, whether it's an active shooter exercise or a major motor vehicle collision, we know the players already. And that relationship is established. That's going to take us a long way to understand how each agency is going to react in these situations and what their priorities are. And for us, that's important, that we have done this ahead of time. The good news is we're using this on a daily basis now and incorporating the training that we've taken here into day-to-day business. And that is a success for us.
Like the Red Mile, for example?
Yeah. That's one of them. Red Mile's one. A major fire we've used it at a major fire. And decisions that are made in those situations are now decisions made by a group. We don't interfere with each individual agency's ability to respond in the manner that they do, but we know what each other's going to do, and that helps immensely on these situations.
Like, what was the stopgap before? Like, why weren't, like, it seems like, why weren't you stopping?
That's a great question. I think the challenge is everybody makes an assumption that we know what everybody's doing. Those are no longer in place. There's no longer an assumption. It's actually us understanding now what each other's doing out there. And there are no assumptions, hence there's that communication barrier is taken down.
This is very progressive, isn't it? Do you find it progressive?
It is for here. I can definitely say we work well together as agencies, but this is that next step where we actually are talking to each other on a regular basis and making it part of our routine business. Sorry, Chief, I've taken this whole thing. I'm out of here.
Actually, let me, I'm going to reiterate just a little bit of what's already been said. This was really a very tactical kind of training and exercise whereby we were able to come together very quickly and go into what we're considering a warm environment, hostile environment potentially, to be able to extricate patients very quickly and get them to hospital. That was the goal. The primary the benefit that came out of it, the additional benefit that came out of it, really is the interoperability, where we had services that were working cooperatively in the past are now truly integrating, where now they come on scene, you get the leadership that's coming in, the command people are coming in, they're able to go, they recognize each other, they get into the same vehicle or they work across the hood of a vehicle, and they start to solve problems immediately. And it just provides then far better service to the customers. We get things happen very quickly, we're able to mitigate things and solve problems. Is there any other questions while I'm up here? Because I will relinquish then.
Yeah, tell me what you learned at the Greyhound. What was learned there by the fire department?
From the fire department, and I think it's already been said, it was a greater understanding of each other. As I said, we work cooperatively, but we didn't have a full understanding necessarily of what the challenges were between each individual agency when you were going into these situations. By working very closely together on a focused problem, everybody starts to communicate that way. And now you understand each other, you understand each other's problems, you get the commanders looking at you in the eye and say, hey, listen, I've got this problem. It's very neat when all of a sudden somebody looks across at you and says, hey, listen, I can help you with that. That was never understood before. So now we went from cooperative to integrated, which is really what the ultimate goal is right now for us.
Is it true that you would better understand each other's strategies? I'm kind of thinking in the sense that in a code 300 or something,
Yeah.
the police would have their full strategy, of course, and then you would have to complement that strategy with other things. So is that kind of what it is?
So as far as the rescue task force, and I'm going to get other people to talk about this,
Strategy.
it's a doctrine. It's a new doctrine that's being developed across North America right now in order to be able to intervene more quickly in order to get to patients more quickly in order to get them out of the situation and get them to hospital. So it's something new that then could only happen if the agencies are working together. Historically, if when we were just in support of one another, this kind of work would not have been possible.
Thank you.
Any further questions, or did you have anything to offer?
Well, yeah, one thing from a 911 perspective. So we have a quite unique role in this, where the story for any of these events will always start at 911 with either a phone call or from agencies that arrive on scene first. So it's incumbent on us to ensure that all that great information that we gather at the very beginning of these events is distributed effectively to the 3 primary agencies out there. We won't typically be on scene, but in this training, we were able to be at the location, witnessing, watching, and being participants in the event, so we could truly understand when they're asking for this resource or this piece of information, how valuable that is to them on scene. So it really truly helped from a communication perspective as well. Whenever an event is looked at after the fact, communication is usually an opportunity for improvement. And being a part of that here makes us more equipped to help.
Dustin, could you say your name? Could everyone now do their name?
Sure.
And their titles?
Dustin Beck, ECM, Calgary 911,
And your titles?
Emergency Communications Manager.
Is 911 gonna be at these scenes all the time, or is this just a one-off, just so you can see what's happening?
So for the training, Rescue Task Force training events, yes, we'll be participating well into the future, as long as it's going. When
If there was a 300, would you be at this 300?
Not typically, no. Usually the events start up and a 3-alarm house fire or a code 300, they start so quickly, and we need to get all of our agency resources there and support them as much as possible. Transporting a dispatcher to the scene, unless it's a really protracted event, typically doesn't add a whole bunch of extra support.